The United States surpasses all other developed countries with its staggering number of prisoners, exceeding 2 million individuals behind bars. These incarcerated individuals grapple daily with challenges to maintain their safety, well-being, and access to basic necessities.
I kept it hidden most of my life, but the older I got, the stronger I got.
Certainly the conditions differ, and some prisons are notably severe.
You don't understand. I'm not supposed to be here.
From security measures involving wolf-dog hybrids to execution styles involving electric chairs, let's delve into the confines of how life is inside the U.S. toughest prison. Number 5. San Quentin State Prison. With its profound and unsettling historical narrative, San Quentin State Prison stands as a testament to the stark realities encapsulated within its formidable walls. Originally established during the fervor of the California gold rush in the mid-19th century, the purpose behind San Quentin's construction was to address the surge of individuals with criminal inclinations drawn by the allure of fortune in the burgeoning West. Little did society anticipate that this institution would metamorphose into one of the nation's most infamous maximum security facilities. The inaugural execution at San Quentin unfolded in 1893, marking a somber chapter in the prison's chronicles when Jose Gabriel, a convicted murderer, faced the ultimate penalty of hanging. This method of capital punishment persisted for numerous decades, the gallows serving as a haunting symbol of the severe consequences meted out for grievous offenses. Yet as time elapsed, an evolving societal conscience prompted introspection into the ethical dimensions and humane considerations surrounding the act of hanging as a punitive measure. In the mid-20th century, San Quentin underwent a shift towards more contemporary approaches to execution. The gas chamber took precedence as the new mechanism of death, replacing the noose with cyanide gas. In 1924, the initial application of this method transpired when G. John, a convicted murderer, met his inevitable end. Although perceived as a more humane alternative, the use of the gas chamber still carried an aura of horror and irrevocability. With the passage of time, the prevalence of the gas chamber dwindled, giving way to the introduction of a novel execution method, lethal injection. Originating in the late 20th century, this procedure involved administering a combination of drugs to the condemned, culminating in a painless and tranquil demise. San Quentin positioned itself as an early adopter of this method, further cementing its reputation as a site of ultimate closure and apprehension. One of the most notorious figures to have traversed the corridors of San Quentin was Charles Manson, a cult leader and serial killer. In 1969, Manson, along with his followers, collectively known as the Manson family, perpetrated a series of brutal murders that sent shockwaves throughout the nation. The specter of overcrowding looms large over San Quentin Prison, exacerbating the already harsh conditions within its confines. The prison's infrastructure was never conceived to house the current surge in inmate population. Consequently, the atmosphere within the prison is dire, marked by heightened tensions and the perpetual shadow of potential violence. The prison's gymnasium, once a hub for physical activity and recreation, has undergone a transformation into an impromptu dormitory to address the overflow of inmates. A staggering 300 beds now cram the space, leaving scant room for personal space or privacy. Sanitation compounds the challenges stemming from overcrowding, as the limited space struggles to uphold cleanliness and hygiene with such a multitude of individuals confined within. Inmates have reported distressing instances of encountering human feces smeared on the walls, serving as a stark reminder of the deplorable conditions they are compelled to endure. Racial tensions exacerbate the myriad challenges confronting inmates within San Quentin, perpetuating a divisive environment that permeates even the most basic facilities like toilets and showers. The imposition of stringent rules based on race further fractures an already splintered community. In an ongoing effort to mitigate the perils stemming from overcrowding and racial discord, prison staff find themselves in a perpetual cycle of relocating inmates, aiming to separate those who may pose threats to each other. This constant shuffling only adds to the instability and unpredictability of life within the confines of San Quentin. Inmates are left in a state of perpetual uncertainty, never certain about their cohabitants or the potential dangers lurking within the prison walls. For those relegated to death row, a separate and eerie world unfolds. With a history of numerous arrivals and departures, San Quentin currently detains over 300 individuals awaiting execution. Some have languished on death row for decades, ensnared in a perpetual state of uncertainty and fear. Though conditions on death row have undergone some changes over time, including improvements in living conditions with access to basic amenities like a bed, a toilet, and a sink within their confined cells, these comforts remain meager in comparison to the profound weight of their impending fate. The isolation endured by individuals on death row is profound, a stark separation from the general prison population. Their days are predominantly spent within the confines of their cells, offering limited opportunities for social interaction. The silence enveloping them is profound, occasionally punctuated only by the resonance of their own thoughts and sporadic engagements with prison staff. The psychological toll exacted by life on death row is immense. The stark awareness that their existence is tethered to an impending execution, with each passing day drawing them closer to that inexorable fate, is a burden that few can fathom. The mental distress and despair become overwhelming, prompting some to grapple with questions about their own sanity and the meaning of their existence. Despite the grim circumstances, certain inmates on death row have discovered coping mechanisms to maintain a semblance of purpose. Many turn to religion or spirituality, seeking solace and guidance during their darkest hours. Others channel their energies into creative pursuits, such as writing or art, as outlets for expression and catharsis. These endeavors offer a glimmer of hope and a thread of normalcy in an otherwise bleak existence. Overall, the conditions and experiences of inmates on death row within San Quentin Prison are characterized by profound isolation, relentless uncertainty, and the oppressive weight of impending death. The psychological toll, coupled with the legal battles and emotional strain on both the inmates and their families, is formidable. San Quentin serves as an unsettling reminder of the harsh realities embedded in the criminal justice system and the profound impact it casts upon the lives of those condemned to face the ultimate penalty. Number 4. ADX Florence. Facility nestled on 49 acres of land in Fremont County near Florence, Colorado, ADX Florence stands as an administrative maximum security penitentiary under the operation of the Federal Bureau of Prisons. Established in 1994, this facility was purposefully crafted to accommodate inmates deemed high-security risks, earning its moniker as the Alcatraz of the Rockies. The majority of the compound stands above ground, featuring a subterranean corridor connecting the cell blocks to the lobby. Each supermax prison cell boasts a minimalist design, primarily constructed with poured concrete. Within these cells, inmates find a desk, stool, and bed, all fashioned from the same utilitarian material. The toilet in each cell is engineered to automatically shut off if blocked, preventing potential flooding or tampering. Showers, equipped with timers, regulate water usage to control flooding. Additionally, the sink is devoid of a potentially hazardous tap, further minimizing risks within the confines of the cell. ADX Florence distinguishes itself through a unique approach to windows that ensures heightened security. The 4-inch by 4-inch windows are meticulously designed to keep inmates unaware of their precise location within the complex. These small window slits allow only a glimpse of the sky and the roof, thwarting any attempts to plan an escape or ascertain their exact position within the prison. In an effort to reinforce isolation, inmates engage in physical activity within a concrete pit resembling an empty swimming pool. This pit, restricting movement to 10 steps in a straight line or 31 steps in a circle, further conceals their location within the facility. The confined space emphasizes control, leaving minimal room for physical exercise. Unlike conventional prisons, ADX Florence lacks a central mess hall where inmates congregate for meals. Instead, correctional officers hand-deliver food to each inmate individually. This method minimizes inmate interactions, reducing the potential for conflicts or disturbances during mealtimes. Turning to the daily routine at ADX Florence during the initial year, prisoners spend 23 hours a day confined to their cells, with only 1 hour allocated for recreation. This stringent schedule gradually evolves over time, with good behavior earning inmates increased outdoor time and potential transfers to less secure prisons. In their final year, prisoners can be outside their cells from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., allowing for extended periods of socialization with other inmates and staff. Meals are served in a shared dining room during this phase, providing a semblance of normalcy compared to the food delivered through slots in their steel cell doors. ADX Florence stands as a facility housing some of the most dangerous and infamous criminals in the United States. It accommodates individuals who present extreme security threats, ranging from leaders of violent gangs to domestic and international terrorists. Notably, the prison is home to Zacarias Moussaoui, the sole person convicted in a civilian court for his role in the September 11 attacks, serving as a chilling reminder of that tragic day. Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, a key figure in the Boston Marathon bombings of 2013, was transferred to ADX Florence in July 2015, where he continues his sentence. The list of notorious inmates extends to include the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski, who was housed at ADX Florence until his passing in June 2023, and Richard Reed, infamous as the Shoe Bomber, who attempted an attack on a transatlantic flight in 2001. The prison is fortified with a comprehensive security system, featuring motion detectors, cameras, and an impressive 1,400 remote-controlled steel doors. This ensures vigilant monitoring and control of every movement within the facility. Officers in the control center work tirelessly, overseeing inmates 24-hourly, with the ability to activate a panic button that closes all doors instantly. The perimeter is reinforced with pressure pads and 12-foot razor wire fences, patrolled by heavily armed officers to prevent unauthorized breaches. Laser beams and attack dogs further secure the area surrounding the prison's fences, creating an impenetrable barrier. ADX Florence's security extends into its internal structure, with various units catering to different security levels. General population units, such as Delta, Echo, Fox, and Golf, house inmates with higher security needs but limited interaction. These units are closely monitored to prevent conflicts. The Special Housing Unit imposes stricter confinement, with inmates subject to enhanced security measures and limited contact. The Special Security Unit, or H Unit, is reserved for the most high-profile and dangerous inmates, maintaining constant surveillance and complete isolation from the general population. ADX Florence's commitment to security is evident in its array of measures, from cameras and steel doors to vigilant officers, attack dogs, and a meticulous internal structure, ensuring the safety of both staff and inmates. Number 3. Angola Prison. Angola Prison, officially known as the Louisiana State Penitentiary, holds the distinction of being the largest maximum security prison in the United States. Its historical roots trace back to its origins as a plantation where enslaved individuals endured challenging conditions. The name Angola itself is thought to have been derived from the African country of Angola, from which many of the enslaved people were forcibly brought. Initially spanning thousands of acres, the plantation utilized the labor of enslaved individuals for cultivating crops like cotton and sugarcane. Although the site underwent transformation into a correctional facility, the echoes of its dark past persist within the prison walls. Facing budgetary constraints, Angola Prison underwent changes, leading to the displacement of guards who had previously deterred escape attempts. In a controversial move to prevent potential inmate escapes, the prison administration introduced a unique solution: trained wolfdog hybrids. However, the complexities of Angola's history and challenges extend beyond this unconventional measure. Inmates at Angola Prison face a daily reality of forced labor, reminiscent of historical periods of slavery. The prison's expansive farm serves as a demanding work environment where prisoners are obligated to toil regardless of weather conditions or their own physical well-being. Under the relentless Louisiana sun, they endure back-breaking labor without respite or consideration for their health. Cleared by a doctor, prisoners are pushed to their limits, compelled to work until exhaustion sets in. In this harsh setting, injuries are common, yet medical care is often denied or delayed. Beyond being a site of physical labor, Angola Prison is a breeding ground for violence. Inmates frequently engage in attacks and even fatalities, while reports reveal instances of abuse of power by prison guards, including rape and physical assault. Each year, the prison witnesses a staggering number of assaults, ranging from 900 to over 1,000 reported incidents. Violence can erupt between inmates or involve guards and prisoners, creating an environment where the line between victim and perpetrator becomes blurred. To grasp the extent of the brutality, we must reflect on the 1950s, a period when Angola prison guards had unchecked authority in their treatment of prisoners. Beatings, cold water sprays, and various forms of torture were commonplace. Conditions were so horrific that 31 prisoners resorted to slashing their own Achilles tendons in a desperate plea for national attention and an end to the cruelty they endured. Angola Prison's history is marred by the use of the electric chair, known as gruesome gurney, which sealed the fate of 86 inmates through particularly brutal and bloody executions. Malfunctions in the chair's mechanisms occasionally prolonged the agony, subjecting inmates to torturous experiences before ultimately ending their lives. Even animals are not exempt from cruelty within Angola. The biannual Angola State Prison Rodeo, entirely orchestrated and operated by prisoners, treats both inmates and animals as mere entertainment props. Bulls are agitated to increase aggression, tossing prisoners around like rag dolls. While the spectacle raises funds for the prison's education system, it comes at the expense of the dignity and well-being of both prisoners and animals. Recreation plays a crucial role in maintaining sanity and fostering rehabilitation within the prison system. However, Angola Prison appears determined to deny even basic forms of respite to its most serious offenders. Death row inmates endure an exceedingly restricted existence, with just 1 hour outside their cells each day. During this brief period, they can shower, engage in brief conversations with other inmates, or briefly experience the outdoors. Imagine spending the majority of your days confined to a small, dimly lit cell with minimal human interaction. The isolation and monotony of such an existence can have severe mental and emotional consequences, constituting a form of psychological torture that further dehumanizes these individuals. The challenging conditions faced by death row inmates at Angola extend beyond limited recreation. The very structure of their confinement is intended to strip away any semblance of comfort or normalcy. The starkness of their cells, the constant reminder of impending death, and the isolation from the outside world create an environment of despair and hopelessness. The ultimate fate awaiting death row inmates at Angola is execution. While the prison currently employs lethal injection as the mandated method, it wasn't always the case. In the past, Angola was known for using the electric chair, aptly named gruesome gurney. This chair sealed the fate of 86 inmates, subjecting them to horrifying and often bloody executions. The electric chair wasn't always reliable, leading to instances where it malfunctioned, prolonging the suffering of the condemned. It serves as a chilling reminder of the brutality within these walls, contrasting sharply with the idea of a humane and dignified end to life in Angola Prison. Upon an inmate's passing, fellow prisoners shoulder the responsibility of crafting a handmade coffin for their fallen comrade. This practice adds a poignant element to the somber realities faced by those within the prison's confines. Now, it's time for today's subscriber's pick. Inside the U.S. toughest prison, there are several execution methods that occur. As seen in the photograph, 4 men slowly lowered into a swimming pool. This is quite terrible for the inmates as they find themselves in this situation. Generally, inmates often face long periods of confinement in their cells, which can lead to boredom and frustration. Prisoners are subjected to severe punishments and conditions which are far from safe. The conditions understandably lead to discontent, which causes prisoners and guards to regularly clash. So guys, what do you think about this method of execution and how inmates are treated in the toughest prison in the United States? Do let us know in the comments section below as we continue with this video. Number 2. Folsom State Prison. Upon entering the realm of Folsom State Prison, its distinction as the toughest correctional facility in the state becomes immediately evident. A recent tour, led by alumni from the FBI Citizens Academy, provided insights into the significant challenges faced by correctional officers in this imposing maximum security establishment, accommodating a staggering 4,000 felons. Folsom State Prison commands both fear and respect, comprising 2 sections: the new Folsom, established in 1986, and the historic Old Folsom, tracing its roots back to 1880. Both sections remain fully operational, symbolizing the enduring nature of the institution. The tour delved into New Folsom Prison, a maximum security facility that also houses a minimum security block. The prison offers a breathtaking view, with the Folsom Dam and Folsom Lake extending beyond its imposing walls. As one approaches the prison, inspirational sayings for correctional officers line the road, serving as a poignant reminder of the immense challenges encountered by those working within these walls. The visitors' parking lot is conveniently located adjacent to the administration building and check-in area. On the left of the baseball diamond, buildings accommodate the minimum security facilities, housing inmates convicted of non-violent felonies with less than 5 years remaining on their sentences. Prior to the tour, veteran guide Rhonda delivered a talk highlighting the inherent dangers of entering a maximum security prison. By April 30, over 100 incidents had occurred within the facility, ranging from minor to major, prompting lockdowns in both B and C blocks due to violent outbreaks. Rhonda emphasized that in the event of a hostage situation, negotiations were non-negotiable. In contrast to the strict confines of the maximum security section, minimum security inmates enjoy more freedom, engaging in work on the grounds, taking classes, and pursuing educational goals such as GED or AA degrees. Residing in a dorm-like setting, rows of bunk beds line alcoves just off the main rooms. They have the privilege to purchase mini refrigerators, clear plastic televisions, and other approved electronics. Unlike their counterparts in maximum security, minimum security inmates dine in a cafeteria setting. The baseball diamond, situated prominently in the front center of the prison, provides a small semblance of normalcy within their incarceration. Empathy arises when considering the living conditions of minimum security inmates. Approximately 40 men share an alcove, each bed separated by a mere 5 feet of space. Their personal space is even smaller than the average jail cell in the maximum security section. Despite having more freedom to move around, a striking observation is that these inmates are predominantly young men, with few appearing to be over 30 years old. They possess the potential for positive transformation if provided opportunities for education, hope, support, and encouragement. Unfortunately, recent cutbacks in parole programs, stemming from California's fiscal mismanagement, have impeded the chances of inmate rehabilitation. Folsom State Prison has also experienced staffing challenges due to budget cuts. Walking through the maximum security facilities, notably A Block and B Block, it's clear that there have been significant reductions in the number of guards. On many floors, only one correctional officer is present, while armed guards in towers monitor multiple floors and yards. These staffing cuts not only pose risks to guards, but also compromise the safety of other prisoners. Conversely, there appear to be no evident cutbacks in the legal department, as prisoners continue to file various claims against the prison. While some claims may be valid, the majority seem frivolous, incurring significant expenses. Venturing deeper into the maximum security side, one encounters the hardcore facilities of B and C blocks. Each section has its own yard, and is housed in the largest building on the right. The tower to the left serves as the main intake tower, a necessary passage to access the BC blocks. Here, a deeper understanding of prison politics emerges. Gangs, divided along racial lines, control every aspect of life within the prison. For instance, Northern Hispanics and Southern Hispanics harbor intense animosity, leading to on-site fights and segregation into B and C blocks. A Northern Hispanic gang member once sued, claiming discriminatory segregation. However, a seasoned Folsom State guard with over 25 years of experience explained that every attempt at integration had resulted in violence. The judge ultimately concurred with this assessment. The notion that prisoners wield significant influence within the prison is not a mere myth. They exercise control over the yard, the gates, and even have a say in whether new prisoners are accepted. Politics plays a crucial role in this microcosm of society, where the ability to adapt and overcome is encapsulated by a quote from Jurassic Park: "Life finds a way." Regardless of privileges revoked, lockdowns imposed, or years added to their sentences, prisoners consistently find ways to navigate their circumstances. The tour also guided visitors to the investigative services offices, where 8 specially trained guards, akin to elite special forces, were tasked with probing all incidents within the prison. Their responsibilities ranged from resolving minor disagreements to investigating violent outbursts. They meticulously scrutinized incoming and outgoing mail, interviewed both staff and prisoners, and delved into acts of violence to determine the sequence of events and the individuals involved. The need for thorough investigations stemmed from the remarkable communication networks established by prisoners, rivaling those of major telecommunications companies. Just last year, 90 cell phones, including data phones like Blackberries and Trios, were confiscated, underscoring the ongoing battle to maintain security within the prison walls. As the tour concluded, it became evident that Folsom State Prison is a complex and perilous environment, where gangs, politics, and the resilience of prisoners collectively shape life within these formidable walls. The exploration of Folsom State Prison provided a deeper understanding of the stark realities that exist within this notorious institution. Number 1. Attica Correctional Facility. Attica Correctional Facility stands as a maximum security institution located in the town of Attica, New York. Operated by the New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision, this prison campus was built in the 1930s in response to past riots within the state's prison system. A significant turning point occurred in September 1971 during the Attica Correctional Facility Uprising. During this event, inmates seized control of the prison for several days, marking a pivotal moment in the facility's history. The uprising emerged as a response to the deplorable living conditions, systemic racism, and inhumane treatment prevalent within the prison walls during that period. Attica was notorious for its overcrowding, understaffing, and absence of basic necessities. Inmates faced a daily struggle for survival, contending with scant food rations, limited healthcare access, and continuous abuse from prison staff. They were dehumanized, stripped of their dignity, and subjected to both physical and psychological torment. The catalyst for the uprising was the prisoners' demand for improved living conditions and fundamental human rights. Their plea was rooted in the desire to be treated with dignity and respect, to access adequate healthcare, and to be free from racial discrimination. These demands were not unreasonable. They were a heartfelt appeal for the acknowledgement of their intrinsic worth as human beings. The men at Attica were not isolated in their struggle. They were part of a broader movement for prisoner rights gaining momentum nationwide. The civil rights movement of the 1960s had ignited activism and a demand for justice across all aspects of society, including the criminal justice system. The Attica Uprising emerged as a powerful expression of this larger movement, a resounding statement against the systemic injustices plaguing prisons and jails across the country. Over the 4 days of the uprising, nearly 1,300 men stood together in solidarity, unified by their shared experiences of oppression and mistreatment. They took control of the prison, barricading themselves inside, and insisted that their voices be heard. Aware of the risks, as authorities had a history of responding to such protests with violence and repression, these men courageously pressed on. Their struggle at Attica transcended personal grievances. It was a fight for all incarcerated individuals who had been silenced and forgotten. They aimed to convey that serving time did not diminish their humanity or their entitlement to basic rights and dignity. Their goal was to unveil the harsh realities of life behind bars and ignite a conversation about the imperative need for reform. Their demands were lucid and reasonable. They called for an end to inhumane treatment, access to adequate healthcare, educational and vocational programs, and an eradication of racial discrimination. They sought recognition as individuals with potential, not merely as criminals to be punished. The response from state officials, unfortunately, lacked reason and understanding. Instead of engaging in a meaningful dialogue to address the concerns raised by prisoners, authorities opted for a forceful approach to regain control of the prison on September 13, 1971. State troopers, armed with guns and tear gas, stormed the facility, leading to devastating violence that claimed the lives of 39 people. Among the casualties were 10 correctional officers and civilian employees who had been taken hostage. Following the Attica Uprising, there was a marked failure to address the root issues that had triggered the protest. Instead, the aftermath was marred by a cover-up, with no accountability for the state officials responsible for the violent response. Regrettably, the conditions within Attica and other prisons continued to worsen. The Attica Prison Uprising served as a national wake-up call, exposing the injustices embedded in the criminal justice system. It underscored the pressing need for reform and ignited a nationwide discourse on the treatment of incarcerated individuals. The men at Attica risked their lives to shed light on the harsh conditions they faced, and their sacrifice should not fade into oblivion. Today, the conditions within Attica Correctional Facility and the experiences of incarcerated individuals depict a disheartening picture of the persistent challenges faced by those behind bars. Despite strides in the fight for prisoner rights, the reality within Attica and other correctional facilities remains deeply troubling. Attica Correctional Facility grapples with persistent challenges of overcrowding, understaffing, and insufficient resources. Designed for a specific inmate capacity, the facility routinely surpasses its limits, resulting in cramped living conditions and heightened tensions among the incarcerated community. The shortage of space and resources hampers individuals' access to basic necessities, impacting both their physical and mental well-being. A primary concern within Attica revolves around healthcare, with the incarcerated population disproportionately affected by health issues, including chronic illnesses and mental health conditions. Unfortunately, the provision of adequate medical care often falls short. Lengthy wait times for medical appointments, restricted access to specialists, and substandard treatment are commonplace, leading to dire consequences such as untreated illnesses and unnecessary suffering. Mental health emerges as a particularly critical issue in correctional facilities like Attica. The harsh and isolating environment can worsen existing mental health conditions and contribute to the development of new ones. However, the resources and support required to address these challenges are frequently inadequate. Counseling services may be limited, and the stigma surrounding mental health often discourages individuals from seeking assistance. Consequently, many incarcerated individuals grapple with their mental health struggles in isolation, lacking the necessary support systems. Violence and abuse represent another significant concern within Attica, fueled by the overcrowded and tense atmosphere. The shortage of staff and resources further complicates efforts to maintain order and ensure the safety of all individuals within the facility. Instances of physical violence, sexual assault, and harassment are unfortunately not uncommon, leaving incarcerated individuals vulnerable and traumatized. Furthermore, the racial disparities that came to light during the Attica Uprising persist within the criminal justice system. The current state of Attica Correctional Facility and the experiences of incarcerated individuals today reveal ongoing challenges and injustices. The issues of overcrowding, inadequate healthcare, violence, and racial disparities endure, creating an environment that is detrimental to the well-being and rehabilitation of those behind bars, marking Attica as one of the most challenging prisons in the United States. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one.